So, welcoming everybody to this class. We're going to cover two things. As we go through these first opening slides, just going to ask you just to be in your hearts, just to center in, and as you read these words, just feel into them, sense how they are affecting you energetically, how they're shifting your mind, your mental state, your emotional state, your physical state, and your being. Because when we allow words to sink in this way, they affect all of our energetic systems. To the 12 days and nights of Christmas, symbolic messages of the story of Jesus' birth. Of course, this is the Vesica Pisces. In Christianity, they cut off the circles, and what they are left behind is that centerpiece, which is representative of the Vesica Pisces, but often also interpreted as the fisherman. Concepts to unify and bring wholeness to life. So let's start with the first day of Christmas in terms of Jesus's birth. The sign that represents this is Virgo. The 25th, if one dwells on the sacred you, birthing the sacred you, awakening your innocence and your purity. So if you were to say in your practice, close your eyes and imagine yourself as that newborn baby. A newborn baby is filled with light. They glow with life. And if you were to imagine how you would hold the baby that is you, what that would feel like in loving arms, mothering this baby, adoring this baby, seeing its purity, its innocence, the sacred life within you, and spending the day and the night of the 25th, returning to thoughts of innocence, to the pure essence that is that very pure young life. The first day of Christmas, symbolically, is about giving birth to yourself in innocence. The 26th is known as St. Stephen's Day. It was the first martyr who passed away 36 AD. And it's also the sign of Libra. If you're going, each day is each month, the 12 days representing the 12 signs of the zodiac. And Libra is, of course, about weighing, making decisions, improving discernment, and demonstrating conviction. So once a decision has been made, taking action. So the Libra aspect, that is the loving positive aspect of Libra, is when you move from weighing and deciding on something instead of spending so much time weighing to actually make a decision and demonstrate that conviction using discernment. What is good for you, what is appropriate for you, what is the most loving, caring, nurturing decision for you, what will best support your strength, give you freedom, give you truth, give you justice. What is just for you will be just for all, because just means you're adjusting to the truth inside yourself, and the truth from the heart in particular. On the third day, the 27th, moving into Scorpio, this is also known as St. John's Day. And St. John, he's the guy that wrote the book of Revelations, and he was a mystic. So this is embracing and focusing on the mystic within. He navigated the depths of his human experience and brought to light anything that was considered a shadow as part of a mystic's journey. That's what a mystic is doing. They're not just connecting to source. Connecting to source is one part of being a mystic. The other part is that how you perceive source has to do with your human experience in gaining the insightful meaning. The more shadows are cast in the way of the light, the less light can be truthfully perceived. So the mystic is always going into the depths of their human experience to see where they can shine more light, gain more truth, so that when they're connecting with their source, when they're hearing their angels or receiving information from those higher realms, that there are less shadows to interfere from the ego and the non-truthful interpretations that the ego will want to bring forward if one allows it. Aiming for the higher perspective when you're in human experiences is also part of Scorpio's sign, because all of us go through what we call the trials of life. We go through very many difficult experiences, and we can get kind of caught into them and let them take us down into those deeper depths where we're experiencing a lot of emotional pain, a lot of wounds. And actually what is happening from the higher perspective is that you are learning something about yourself to make you stronger, to be the door to open to the light, and walk through that door, seeing the higher perspective, seeing the higher truth is always a part of the highest aspect of Scorpio, and what Source is actually trying to help you towards. The fourth day, the 28th, from this perspective, is on day 4 after Jesus' birth. It's believed that King Herod slayed all the firstborn baby boys. And so the symbolism of this is sacrifice, injustice, fears of being dethroned and replaced. When we are going through our lives and we are giving in a way that is not filling our cup, when we sacrifice ourselves or we do not honor the truth within ourselves, then this becomes more of a difficult life process to be in, because the information that you're giving yourself is that you don't matter and that others matter more than you. And divinity is always about equality through love. When we pay attention to what's happening around us and we see others sacrificing, or we see an injustice in the world, and we're moved to sadness or anger or frustration or fear, that takes us out of our heart space, and it actually adds more disharmony to the world through our vibration. When we are in our workplaces and maybe we've been looked over for promotion, or there's someone in our workplace that is treating us unfairly, or we feel our job is threatened, or our position within a company is being threatened. This is when we can either rise up the truth of who we are and hold a space of love and strength and confidence, or we can go the other way. So the opportunity here from day 4 is to aim high. Look for ways to aim high in your life. Look at what's around you. It may be that there's a lot of bills that one needs to pay, and you're wondering how you're going to make things work. This aiming high could be communicating with those that you're in relationship with, for example. And if one person, usually in a relationship, one person's the spender and one person is the saver. And so communicating between both people, making sure that everyone is being heard, listened to, so that together things can be resolved, that brings more light to a relationship. Aim high and decide which bills, if one cannot pay all the bills fully in a month, which ones are the most important, and then what is the plan to go through and pay the rest. Aim high as you're going about paying these bills to be joyful that you are making your payments, joyful that you are communicating to the loved ones in your life, joyful that you have the mental capacity to rise to the occasion. Aim high in that when you're going about the day, giving thanks for breathing in and out, because there's always going to be bills coming and going. This is part of life. So enjoying life as you're going through life. Aim high in the fact that you have the divine right of breath, of the heartbeat, of the light flowing through, and that you can go for a walk. You can feed yourself today. You can drink water today. Being thankful in your life for everything that you do have, rather than focusing on just the struggle. Aiming high as this and anything else that comes to mind, whether it's the joy of music, whether it's the joy of creativity, anything to bring you up out of those lower vibrations. I hope that this is helpful and makes sense to you. On day 5, this is the 29th, this would be the sign of Capricorn. When one is wanting to give birth to themselves, to become the divinity of who they are, divinity in the male aspect of the god, the feminine aspect of the goddess in mythology. This is a clearing day for us. So looking at where our addictions and compulsions, where our lower nature is. Lots of times people think of addictions as drug addictions or alcohol addictions. It can be screen addictions. It can be coffee and sugar addictions. It can be whatever is compulsive. Compulsions are activities come from the subconscious. They come from habit, but even deeper than that, they come from a structure of trying to soothe a stress, a wound, something that is unhealed within us, and we're on some level relieving a certain level of pain and dysfunction through the compulsion. So the lower nature is any time that we're functioning out of ego, out of fear, out of anger, out of a structure of lack, these are all the heavier vibrational frequencies that keep us bound to repeating our cycles. And so if you spend the 5th day, the 29th, looking out at what habits are appearing in your radar, it could be behaviors in our relationships, whatever those addictions, compulsions, and lower nature is that we become aware of, to begin to not only become aware of them, but what are you going to do about them? Creating a plan as to how to deal with them. And, sometimes for all of us, we may have more than one, and choosing to focus on the one that's important for you to begin with is often a great idea. The 6th day, the 30th in the 12 days of Christmas, is the sign of Aquarius. It was associated with the biblical King David, who was a great king, and he did his best to live a spiritual life. He was balancing his human and spiritual self. So even though he was this great king, he still was a humble king, and he would still connect and do sacred connection with his source. He was humble enough to ask for help, to ask for guidance, and then to follow it. It's wonderful when we get these really high vibrational insights and inspirations. In order for it to come into our lives, it's about us bringing it through and actually acting upon what it is that we're being given. So it's all about, the Aquarius sign is all about developing your spiritual side without ego and more with action. What are you going to act upon to elevate yourself to be that great king or queen of your life, that you hold your scepter of truth, you stand in your power, and you walk your spiritual life, understanding that in many ways, as humans, we know nothing. But when we connect to source, and we're connected through source to the source within ourselves, that we can walk in that connection. And when we function from the heart space, that is when we are fully aligned and can walk in the light as the light. This is the sign of Aquarius, and this is what you may aspire to or not, Then we have on the 31st, which is the 7th day of the 12 days of Christmas, Pisces. And if you look at the Pisces sign, if you remember it, it has one fish swimming up and the other fish swimming down. And this has to do with duality as well. You have the lower nature, that's the fish swimming down, that wants self-gratification. And then you have the fish swimming up, and that fish is swimming up towards higher development. The sign is also an emotion, so it's also about cycles, endings, and beginnings. And if you look at the symbol of the Pisces, which I've represented here from the horoscope, you have the curvature going one way, then you have a line, and you have the curvature going the other way. Well, that can be evolved into the Vesica Pisces when those two curves cross, moving towards each other, cross, and that line disappears. That's when you actually have the Vesica Pisces, which is also the symbol of the Christ consciousness. And they call it the Christ consciousness because of the ascended Master Jesus, but Christ consciousness actually has been grounded and made contact by Buddha and other ascended masters. So while it's symbolically called the Christ consciousness, you could also call it the love consciousness, the truth consciousness. And Pisces, because it's a water sign, the water signs in the horoscope indicate highly intuitive people, because water carries current without any resistance. And Edgar Cayce was triple Pisces. He had it 3 times in his chart. So if you spend time on the 7th in meditation, in contemplation, making a list, becoming aware of the incongruencies of yourself. We have different parts of ourselves that they fight each other. We want to go out to dinner, we want to stay in. We want to do that workout, but we want to sit on the couch and just relax. Looking at how to bring opposites together, and have yourself make peace with them. Have yourself, well, first of all, acknowledge that they exist, but how to make peace with them. If you decide to go do your workout or not do your workout, how can you make peace with yourself that if you don't do the workout, you don't beat yourself up? And if you do the workout, that you're not judging someone else who isn't doing a workout. So then we come into the 8th day, Aries. And on this day, it's believed that this is the day that Jesus was baptized and the day that he was named. So symbolically, it's about the desire for rebirth, to be different, to somehow be new this year, to enter the kingdom of divine self, prosperity, enter and live in the heart-centered life, kindness, harm to none, humble, sweet, following inspiration, not ego. And this all sounds really wonderful. And yes, many of us really do want this, but there's also a lot of fear, because let's face it, spiritual people aren't really well treated in society. What is elevated is money and status and power through money and greed. And when someone comes into another person's radar and they're quiet and they're calm and they're kind and they're sweet, they may be well received, or someone may think that they're weak and may go to attack them, or the person can fear that in themselves. They maybe have had attack in their life. They may have been bullied when they were young or even in the workplace. And so they put on this suit of armor, and they walk from an ego perspective because they fear harm. So when we are dealing with Aries in day 8, it's coming to terms with, if we want to be someone new, if we want to be someone different, what are our fears this year about becoming that? Will we be well received in our families, with colleagues? And how are we going to deal with that being different, coming out to people in a way, showing up as a divine self? The prosperity part of that is, if we are calling for prosperity from outside of ourselves, it's very difficult to manifest it. How do we go inside ourselves? Can we spend time within ourselves and dwell upon what is already prosperous in our life that we're overlooking, and giving thanks for that, and moving our vibration from thanks to adoring what it is that has been given to us? Because everything that we have in our life, from our health to our contents of our homes to our homes themselves, is divinely given to us. Everything comes through source. So everything was created by source, and in a sense, it's not really ours. In 100 years from now, it won't be yours. It's ours for a shorter time or a longer time. While it's ours, it's in our care. And showing love and appreciation, being kind to others and generous to others from what it is that we have, harming none, humble and sweet. These are qualities of divine self. And when you're in that divine center of that, the prosperity vibration can grow from there into bringing and birthing more into your life, into your world. The 9th day, which is January 2nd, this is the first of the 3 wise men. This is Taurus, representative of Taurus. And Melchior was the king of Arabia, and he gave gold to Jesus. And this is a symbol of you, if you think of yourself as the child of God's source, by whatever name you use for source, that you are a divine child of God in yourself. And so prosperity is your divine right, yet releasing attachment or desire for greed and ownership over it. So while you have prosperity. It's not that you desire to own it, again, because everything actually is source. So it's about balancing the opposites, being prosperous, but without the desire for prosperity, out of lack, you know. So one of the ways of, again, on day 9, is focusing on what it is that you have, being grateful for it. And you can even, in meditation, close your eyes, go into your heart space, and imagine yourself in your heart space receiving the golden divine light, sparkling, like New Year's when when all the streamers and all the glitter is coming down, when they release the streams and the sparkles from the ball, and they're all shining down and all around you, like imagining that it's just raining the golden light over you, and how joyous you are, and how much now that you have to share. That would be one of the exercises that you could do from the symbol on the 9th day. Your 10th day is January 3rd, and this has to do with the second king, Belshazzar, who was the king of Tars in Egypt, and he gave myrrh to the Prince of Peace. And if you've ever worked with myrrh, it's a resin. And so when it's burned, when it's lit, it turns molten. And it's highly prized for its ethereal qualities and for purification. I've used it in many of my anointing oils, like when we've gone to Shasta. It's very ethereal, vibrational, essential oil. And so Gemini, of course, represents the twins, again, that are polar opposites, highlighting duality of spiritual and lower nature. Honoring both and making peace with duality is part of what Geminis are here for, to learn. And since although we may have a sign, you may be a Taurus, you may be a Sagittarius, in order for us to come into wholeness, it's about looking at all signs and seeing what in the signs are things that are issues for us to help us evolve into our higher nature. So again, you might be doing a purification ritual. You might be called to work with myrrh or essential oils like myrrh and burn them in your home. It might be the day that you clear out clutter in your house, or look for behaviors that are no longer serving you, that you wish to go into your higher nature of. Perhaps there's a TV show that you really like, but when you finish watching the show, you don't feel really good. Or there might be another kind of activity that one does that afterwards they walk away from and they go, oh, that really wasn't for me. I was just doing it to, satisfy another person. So whatever it is that is your lower nature, look for what its opposite would be. Maybe instead of going to the bar, not that necessarily any of us here spend time in the bar, but having an activity that lowers our vibration, like alcohol lowers our vibration. The very first thing that alcohol does is when we drink it, we feel high. It's because we're moving out of our body. And so we're not embodying ourselves, especially if we're drinking, like 1 drink is considered mild drink, 2 is moderate, and 3 drinks or more are actually considered heavy drinking. So if we're drinking a lot, then we're taking ourselves out of our bodies, out of our power. And therefore, it lowers our spiritual nature, because we're meant to be embodied here as a spiritual being on the earth plane. Having said that, if we have 3 drinks, making peace with the fact that we've had 3 drinks, or coming to some form of agreement without harming the self, without injury to the self. When we make a mistake, if we judge ourselves, if we punish ourselves harshly or less harshly, we're not actually bringing benefit to our world. We're just making ourselves feel bad. On the 11th day, has to do with Cancer, and Gaspar, also known as Caspar, the king of Sheba, who gave frankincense. Frankincense was used to anoint the dead in ancient times, and it's interesting in the story of Mary Magdalene that she washes and anoints Jesus' feet with frankincense, which tells you that she was quite the intuitive. She knew what was coming, and being that she was now known to be Jesus's first and favorite disciple, he provided Mary Magdalene with many transmissions that he didn't provide to other disciples, not because he didn't love all, but because it's unloving to provide someone with transmissions when they're not ready for it. So Mary Magdalene, was washing and anointing Jesus' feet with frankincense. And the symbol here from that part of the story is that endings happen. We have parts of our life that end, and we can call that death of, say, when we transition. If I think about, when we transition from a child to an adolescence, childhood ends and we're starting to transition into adulthood. So it could be said that the death of the child, because a new life is opening to you. It could be divorce. It could be, for parents when their kids leave home or when they move to New Zealand, when things end, we still need to be of good cheer because new beginnings are coming. We can't have beginnings without having endings. And so whatever is flowing in our life, there will always be endings or death, but there'll always be beginnings. And even at physical death, it's the beginning of the ascension back home. So in my belief system, and perhaps yours. The second symbol with Cancer, with the story part of me, has to do with Cancer being the symbol for family. Who is your true family? In the story of Jesus, he came to a certain age and then he left his family. He left his mother and father and his siblings. He was called to go to and follow his spiritual divine mother, divine father, and begin to embrace his spiritual nature, which included spiritual brothers and sisters. So this is also a sign that you can look on the 11th day is how to embrace the divine within yourself. We have the divine father and mother aspect within us, the divine masculine, which is the structure of and the laws, if you will, of love and of truth. And then the divine mother, the nurturer, the one that brings things into being, the creative aspect. If you think of what, when you're becoming a mother, you're gestating this baby inside of yourself. You are bringing things into creation, and then you give birth and you nurture. You continue to feed and nurture your dreams, nurture your inner callings that wish to come out, and how you can embrace yourself in the process and embrace and look for other souls that are like-minded, that are following their heart, following the light within them. In some families, the whole family is in unity and in unison, and they're all doing that. And then other families, there's a lot of lack, there's a lot of disharmony, there's a lot of disturbance, and we can still love our family, but we also have the need, and in order for even self-preservation, following what it is that we need, because maybe the love that we're looking for isn't in our family of origin, but it's finding those that are like us that can help us feel embraced, and embracing them in the same way. following the light God source first over whatever anybody else is demanding of us, or we're rising to someone's expectation of what they demand of us, and let the light take you where it wants to take you. Because eventually, even if it takes you from your family, eventually everyone will become your family, because eventually everyone will ascend. The 12th, Leo the lion, the first shall be the last. Realize that the Christ light, or the love light, is within, and have pride by wearing that light, the I am, whether you call it the Christ self or the loving self, well. And also surrendering to the I am. Now, surrendering to the I am doesn't mean giving up or giving away your power. It means entering the power of the I am and having the I am burst forth from you. And also, the line is giving attention to your lower nature. If you ever notice in the cat family, they get adequate rest. You'll see cats lying around some sunny place, bathing in the light. They groom themselves. There's need for body care. They come around you so that they can be petted. So giving attention to your physical needs, your grooming, your body care, taking a nap if you need one, and also the need for physical touch and caring hands. And so, in summarizing steps or ways that you can help yourself and your takeaways from the 12 days might be some of these, or you might already have different ones, I don't know. But bring the light into your life. Surround yourself with beauty. Light a candle. Let it help you, remind you that you are the I am, the light within. And do activities that bring you joy. Bring out that inner child, that playfulness. Share joyously in the giving and the receiving equally. Do not do what you hate. Lies, even hidden ones, manifest. Happy, healthy activities uplift, and they are divine love in action. Sometimes people go, where is all this divine love? I'm not seeing it. Well, when you're happy and you're doing healthy activities and you're in that uplifted state, you are being held in divine love, and the activity of divine love is actually moving through you. Pay equal attention to your lower and higher aspects by being watchful. Awareness without judgment is required. Learn to accept and love duality. I think this can be very difficult for us, that there's duality in this world. Duality exists regardless. Make peace rather than suffer. Why fight life?